So Stephen, welcome to Blockchain Hub.
Thank you, thank you.
So first, for our audience, please introduce yourself because you have so many titles. So yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Stephen Chia. I'm Malaysian. I'm the council member for NEM.io Foundation, and also at the same time, I'm also the regional head for Southeast Asia in Malaysia.
Excellent. And a few words about NEM.
Well, essentially, NEM, we are one of the creators of the NEM blockchain protocol. It's a platform that is the base of a lot of applications that is run on blockchain.
Okay, excellent. I have a few questions written down for you. So from what we see from our perspective of Ukraine right now, that NEM right now is very active only in Asia, particularly in Southeast Asia. There is no much presence in European Union, Latin America, and so on. What's your plans?
Okay.
I'm asking not your personal, but as the NEM Foundation, obviously.
Well, essentially, NEM itself is a global project. It just so happened that our founding president, Lon Wong, he's actually a Malaysian, so that's the reason why we are registered as a foundation in Singapore.
Okay.
Right? But it actually our presence is in 6 regions around the world, and I guess that two of the youngest regions are actually in Europe, and also in the USA.
Can you name these 6 regions?
Yeah. Well, the 6 regions are, of course, Australia, New Zealand,
okay.
My region, which is Southeast Asia. We also have NEM China, and also there's one area which is actually East Asia, which is countries like Korea, Japan, and Hong Kong, and Taiwan. That's actually just starting out. We also have NEM Middle East. So that's based out of Dubai.
Dubai,
yeah.
Okay.
So, and of course, recently also we have some activity in Latin America. So we also have a Latin American region.
Where about?
It's based in Colombia, and also in Venezuela. So we have teams in
Venezuela.
Yeah, in 2 areas. Yes.
Okay. Let me guess. You're talking about the El Petro right now.
Well, it's powered by NEM blockchain, so there's been a lot of discussions about that. But I think in that area, yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
In that area, also we had a lot of application and very high interest in, especially in our blockchain and how the people can use it. You know, that's where the exciting part is. Yeah.
Can you say a few words of success or failure of El Petro? There's a lot of buzz around it, well, especially from the president Boudreaux, but
essentially I think we're because we are open source, so a lot of people who are developing blockchain applications, right, almost everywhere in the world, sometimes increasingly we get surprised about how people have found about NEM blockchain and started using it without us even knowing, right? So that's exactly what happened in the case of, let's say, the Venezuela project. We had a group of people who said, we are looking for a blockchain, and they so happened to develop the entire Petro and all that on the NEM blockchain, you know, and we didn't realize it was so earth-shattering for people around the world, and also at the same time what it's supposed to do. So as a blockchain, it was able to power up what they need to get done. So I guess that's where it works for them in a way.
Anything in Colombia?
Colombia, we have actually Pedro, who's actually our regional head for Latin America. He's having a lot of small and medium-sized projects that are powered by NEM blockchain. Yeah, one of them actually really interesting was there is a taxi service that's thinking of using the NEM blockchain to power and using digital currencies as the method of payment. That was something new that he started working with them. Yeah.
Okay, so Venezuela is famous for oil, hence we have the stable coin, well, apparently stable coin by petrol, by oil. Colombia is, famous for other things. Is there like a token coming?
That I don't know.
Powered by Coke or something like that? No?
That I don't know. It's very interesting because even in Asia, we have had people very innovative, you know, the way they use the blockchain, especially the NEM blockchain, because how easy it is to integrate with their current applications or what they want to do. Almost almost most of the time, it doesn't start off being used as a digital currency yet. Usually, they think of using the blockchain to power their applications. You know.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Recently, your representative in Ukraine is very active. He managed to get into the I don't even know what's called in English. The election committee.
One of the members
because
of the CEC, right?
The
CEC. Yes.
So they did a test of elections on NEM blockchain. Obviously, that was the test run, nothing special, but it was made by the member of the election committee. So, what are your thoughts on that, and any plans for the future in Ukraine or other countries to power the elections?
Well, actually, this one is actually the Central Election Commission of Ukraine. And basically, I think they were exploring ways of how to power up their election system in a very safe and also using blockchain so that it has all the attributes of transparency and so forth. I think that is the original idea. That's why we were very happy. The team that went and helped them essentially offered our blockchain nodes to let them pilot and test it, right? First is actually putting their all election results on the blockchain, that's one. Second is to do a small pilot to see whether it is possible to actually make that kind of transactions or to make the voting to be more transparent. I think there is many stages. This is only the first step. And honestly, I think it's the first in the world for a major election commission to do that. I wish they try it in Malaysia. Actually, we just finished an election a few months back. And I think countries around the world are looking at how they can make an election more open, transparent, and there's all the issues that currently with paper-based or even electronic-based, right? They're trying to make it a little bit better. And in this case, I think the CEC in Ukraine is probably the first one that's willing to take the first move to try it on the blockchain. And we're very happy that it is powered by NEM.
Next question, if you don't mind. I want to come back to the NEM token.
Okay.
Obviously, you know that there was a hack on one of the exchanges and a lot of NEM was stolen.
Okay.
Have you recovered? Have you recovered after that?
Well, actually, in this case, maybe a lot of people were not aware. The CoinCheck hack in Japan, actually, there were a lot of safeguards within the NEM blockchain. So what's important is that it was actually the exchange that got hacked, not so much the blockchain. In fact, the blockchain, most blockchains have never been directly hacked, right? So in this case,
as the founder of exchange, I understand that.
So in this case, I think there were many security features within the NEM blockchain that they could have employed. One of them is, for example, multi-signature wallets, right? In this case, they did not have a chance to employ that security feature. Of course, they also had a breach on their traditional firewall security systems. So what happened was, because of that, they actually got the wallet intrusion, and they actually lost, I would say, roughly around $500 million worth of our digital currency.
That's a lot of money. So have the currency managed to recover?
Well, essentially what happened was it's still in the system. And originally, we tried to help the authorities to identify the wallets where it was heading around the world. I think where the challenge was when we were able to tag and identify the wallets where it was heading, that information actually is given back to the authorities. In this case was actually a few authorities, the Japanese authorities, and also people like Interpol. It was up to them. Of course, the people that had the loss was CoinCheck, the exchange themselves. It was the responsibility was on them to pursue it whenever we identified it, and I think they spent nearly a few months doing that. But along the way, what happened was the exchange actually refunded the losses to their customers. So I think that was a very interesting thing that they did there. Although I believe at least maybe a little bit over half of that stolen funds was actually owned by the exchange themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that make it a little bit easier so that they were able to refund. And at the end of the day, their customers did not lost out on it because they were actually refunded. So that was in that case, that's what happened to.
Was anyone arrested?
No, I think they're still pursuing the case. That's the reason why the Japanese authorities now tighten up the regulatory environment for exchanges across Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Okay,
it was a good learning experience for everyone, and it actually woke up a lot of people that, you know, if when you're running an exchange, security is paramount, and applying things like, for example, in the NEM blockchain, digital multi-signature wallets and all that, hot and cold wallets. We were surprised as we went into that whole few months after that there were certain exchanges around the world did not even employ the basic security features that was supposed to be in place. So I think around the world people kind of woke up a little bit because of that. You know.
Quite expensive wake-up call, but
yes.
Yes. Okay, let's come back from the country of the rising sun to the Ukraine, where you're right now. You came here for the few days. What's your expectations of your visits to Kiev, to Ukraine?
Well, I'm very happy to be here. It's a beautiful city. We had a chance to walk around yesterday in Kiev. And I think, first and foremost, to meet our global team that is here, based here in NEM, Ukraine. I'm very happy to meet Anton and his whole team here. That's one. Second is also, as a council member, I'm representing the foundation to come here to, of course, visit some of the places where blockchain activity is happening. And of course, Blockchain Hub is one of them. We are very happy to find out what is the entire ecosystem in Ukraine for blockchain, right? Of course, specifically also, I've been invited to speak at the Blockchain Ukraine conference that's happening in a few days. So
I'll see you
very
there,
honored to be there. Yeah.
Okay, good. You were doing events in Ukraine, or you're just here for the conference?
I believe we also have some meetups that we are planning in the next few days. So we'll be meeting different groups of people to talk about blockchain and to introduce NEM blockchain to some of the business community and also the companies that are using or thinking of using blockchain in their business. Yeah.
Excellent. Good, thank you. The next question would be more technical one.
Okay.
You have the product called Catapult.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Could you please explain what it is?
Okay.
And my question would be, what's going to happen after the Catapult? What's the plans, or what's the roadmap for the next development of your blockchain?
Well, essentially, Catapult is like version 2.0 of NEM, the blockchain that's been around now for nearly 3 years now, since 2015. The idea behind Catapult is that we took all the learning that we had, or rather I'll call it that, all the learning that we had with the version 1, and then still carry on the journey to make it a little bit faster, a lot more efficient. It's also changed the architecture a little bit to make it a lot more robust. Then at the same time, put in a lot more features into the blockchain that is, because we carry on the tradition of making the NEM blockchain an enterprise grade blockchain. So with that, that means there's a lot more features that are more driven towards applications in the enterprise. For example, we invented something now called aggregated transactions, which is actually, traditionally there's always been either push transaction or pull transaction, single shot, right? But in the aggregated transaction, the whole idea is that with one shot, you can actually do multiple transactions. For example, it can be 5 parties where if I fire off one transaction, it hits the other 4 users immediately, and it's just automated.
Okay.
The other thing that we
what's the use case?
For example, if let's say you are doing a transaction involving 3 parties, where once you send a transaction to one party party B, immediately you're supposed to send the follow transaction. I'll give you an example. In the typical environment would be, for example, in a leasing environment. Let's say a typical lease agreement. You are the agent. If I send a transaction to you, you can send the forward payment to the tenant, but you have to take the fee of your commission, right? So in this case, it's just one shot. The moment I've sent to you, you send it onward to the tenant, or the tenant. In the case, let's say I'm the tenant, you send it to the landlord. Immediately, you deduct the commission fee. before you honor transmission to the third party. So that's a typical example of an aggregator. And it can get quite complicated, especially if you can do supply chain type transactions where multiple parties and stakeholders are involved, right? The other thing that we employ within Catapult that's very important is multi-level multi-signatures. So now not only you have the multi-signature wallets, but it's also a multi-layered. Therefore, you can do a lot more flexible payments with it. Case example would be when you need to make multiple payments to multiple parties, but signed by different people, right, at each stage. So without getting very deep into technical, basically you can actually layer all your signatories in a very dynamic manner where it allows you to remove people as they leave the company. So that builds a very strong use case for
again, this is the enterprise. Yeah. Excellent.
So
this is already available to test?
Yes. We actually opened up the developer preview test for private chain for Catapult. It's been available for the past, I think, 2.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So people can go and kick the tires.
We need to ask local representative to show us. Yeah.
Yes.
So what's going to happen with the NEM 3.0?
Our core developers actually they are very, very careful in terms of testing it to make sure that it's very robust. And I think they spent a greater part of the past 18 months coming to this point. And before they go on to the next, let's say the public release has a public chain, they want to make sure that all this is working in the private chain, and before they move on to the next stage. I think we hope to see perhaps in 2019 that might come about when they're ready to release it. I know the community is always waiting for when does it go live on the mainnet. I think this one actually it's not up to us as a foundation, but more on the core devs in terms of making sure that everything is all in place and it's working well before they send it out there. Yeah.
But this is the Catapult. Is it the soft fork, or is it half fork, or is it totally separate project from the original?
I think the decision has not been decided. So they are looking at the roadmap and see how they would deploy it versus what's currently on the NEM 1.0.
So you haven't decided yet?
I believe they have not made that decision up to this point.
And who is they?
As in the core devs and also the development team.
Okay. Recently, we read in the news that recently the company called Deloitte, one of the big 4 auditors in the world, they published a report which says that the market is tired of the blockchain. That's obviously the shorter version of it. What's your point of that? What do you think? What's happening right now after the price bubble has bursted in December? What do you think? Are the people tired of blockchain? Is the market tired of blockchain? Enterprises tired of blockchain, or it's just a fake report?
I think just like anything else, it's actually cycles, right?
Okay.
Just like economic cycles or even business cycles within companies, right? I think the whole blockchain cryptocurrency space is going through that, right? I see it as 2 things. In a way, it's good to have a bit of slow after a very strong run.
Very
right?
good.
That way everybody have a chance to kind of catch their breath.
Yeah.
I think it's very good because then people get a chance to catch up with a lot of things that perhaps during the boom years they have not had a chance to. But for us as NEM, we are very committed to the fact that we have always looked at it from the point of view of blockchain, the technology first, rather than the price of our digital or native currency ZEM, right? Over the years, even 2 years ago when the NEM Foundation committed to spending around $40 million around the world, why did we do that? Now,
in $40 million in US dollars or
in US
tokens?
dollars. In US dollars.
So you keep cash?
Well, no, we committed to say that we're going to set aside around $40 million to spend to grow NEM around the world.
In which countries?
Both in
globally.
Globally.
Kind of basket of tokens and US
no,
dollars.
just in terms of our funds that's available within our foundation.
That's what I'm asking. Your fund, is it in US dollars or is it in the native tokens?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both.
Good.
Yeah, a portion of it
Okay,
in US dollars and a portion in
Okay.
ZIMs. So what we did was, actually why we did that was basically we wanted to put boots on the ground. And that was the reason why we started building other regions, so that we have in each region, just like here in Ukraine, right? We have a ground team that people can call on, and say, I'm building on NEM blockchain, can you come and help me? So we've done that in the past 1 year very aggressively. That's why you notice that I would say globally, we probably have a team of around 75, 80 people all around the different countries, where companies, big or small, or partners who want to develop on blockchain, they can call and we actually send people to help and support them. And that's very important because we feel that if we concentrate on blockchain, the NEM blockchain technology and the use cases on it, rather than a lot of projects might just say, let's concentrate on the money part, the cryptocurrency part. That's the reason why, although yes, it does impact us in terms of value of our digital currency, but as we concentrate on building real use cases on the NEM blockchain, that actually is more important because that's the one that fly a lot longer, right?
And again, you're saying you're targeting enterprise.
Both enterprise and also maybe even startup companies who are developing applications.
Okay, so basically anyway, it's business side rather than the customers.
Yeah, and then when we do that, right, so the concentration changes, right? And then we know that there will be cycles on everybody, not just for us, everybody else in the industry have go through all these cycles, right? And invariably it will happen that perhaps not us, perhaps sometimes our maybe one region may go through a whole, like for example, during the CoinCheck period, Japan went through a very, kind of like fear of the digital currency. Just like when there is a piece of legislation change in Korea, people pull back, or if there's let's say announcement in Securities Commission in America, digital currencies take a back seat, right? So I think we see this trend flowing up and down across the world. It's not just currently, it's always happened. And I guess even in financial markets, it does that. So whenever a report comes out, like the Deloitte report, whether it's good or bad, sometimes it impacts people in different ways. Like for us in Asia, if a Deloitte report comes out, maybe it's less impact.
Sure, thank you.
Maybe we don't read it.
Is your wallet on the App Store? Are you certified by Apple?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We have not one. We have a few wallets that some are developed by third party. Our wallet itself is on both Android and also on Apple.
Apple allowed you to be on their App Store.
Yes.
Okay, and the logical question would be: you said enterprise a few times now. The big big gray mass, which also targets enterprise right now, is EOS.
Yes.
What can you say about EOS and how you're gonna compete or how you're gonna collaborate? I don't know. What's your thoughts on this? They have a lot of cash.
Yeah, of course. Well, actually, for EOS, we actually meet in Asia. Also, they're quite active. But I think there is enough interest in blockchain. There's enough to even have not one but multiple blockchain protocols across the world.
But what's your unique selling point? What's the unique proposition that your blockchain has?
I think where we see the differences is, number one, I think over the years, NEM has always been very easy to integrate because of our API-driven approach to things. And one of the things that we also do, and we promote it, is that your smart contract, so to speak, or your business rules should be off-chain, and it makes for a more efficient use of the blockchain, right? So those are the two distinct differences. That's the reason why for a developer, we don't need them to learn a specific language. They just need to understand how to integrate an API talk to the NEM blockchain. That's always been our core fundamental. That's the reason why a lot of the business applications and it doesn't matter whether you're a legacy system or whether you are a new application, you just need to figure out how to API talk to our blockchain. Now that's actually a very fundamental advantage to people developing in NEM blockchain. Whereas in EOS, the approach that you have to take is that you have to get very deep into their technology, into their tech. Also with EOS, certain aspects of what we already have developed in the past 3 years, they're still building it. I guess this is where the little distinct differences. And as an organization, NEM actually we have a global presence with really boots on the ground.
Okay.
To help people. EOS is currently now going through that organizational growth stage.
They're only like 3 months since they have their own blockchain, so yeah.
Yes. Well, I guess there is enough work for everyone around the world. There is a place in the sun for everyone around the world. Honestly, we've been very busy as a NEM team around the world. And same goes. One of the other things that we are very open with within NEM is that we're very open to collaborations with other chains, because right now in Asia especially, we are looking at perhaps even cross-chain collaboration. We have had discussions with people like One Chain, even Eden Chain out of Korea, where we're doing cross-chain collaboration, because enterprise needs that. They say, okay, if I'm developing something on one particular blockchain, can I integrate it? Because there's certain of our partners is on other blockchain, right? To us, the whole idea is to help companies to power their system. If they want to use other, it's just like a database. If somebody is using Oracle, another person using SQL, you need to find a common tunnel.
That's a very, very good point to finish our interview. Yeah. So thank you for introduction of your foundation and your product here in Blockchain Hub. And again, very welcome to Ukraine. Have a good time here.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. A pleasure to be here. Yeah, you have a lovely place in Blockchain Hub.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Cut.
Okay.